how to move on, and our next guest can help. Joining us now is the divorce coach and the author of Uncoupling, How to Survive and Thrive After Breakup and Divorce, Sarah Davison. Sarah, it is so great to see you.
Oh, thanks for having me back, Gayle. It's always good to see you.
It's good to see you too. So let's talk about relationships that need work, and sometimes that work doesn't always pay off. It just is time to call it quits.
Exactly. Some relationships just fizzle out over a matter of time, but there are things you can do to save relationships. So if you are going through a tough time, know that it's normal. Sometimes relationships do hit a tough time when things are challenging. But if you can spot the signs before they get too big, I think that's going to really, really help you to take control back. And maybe you can make some small shifts that will actually help you save your relationship.
And you say that it's important to keep a lookout for changes so that you can kind of head them off at the pass, because those are the first initial signs that something's wrong.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people like to avoid conflict. I know that when my marriage, I didn't like conflict at all, Gayle, so I would always avoid it. But what happens with that, and I see this so often with clients, is that these problems start to fester. You sweep them under the carpet. You think, I'm not going to bring that up. I'm going to give it a break. I'm just going to try and power on through. I don't want to cause a fuss. I don't want to have an argument. But the problem is these just what I call stack. They stack up over a period of time, and it can be even the smallest issue then that breaks the camel's back and causes that relationship to break down. So it's important to have good communication, address problems as they come. Don't avoid them. Don't avoid them. Don't sweep them under the carpet. Don't ignore them. Face them head on. And there are certain things to look for, like you said, changes in behavior in your partner. You know, I've got a client at the moment, actually, and her husband has started, well, about 6 months ago, he started to do things slightly differently. So he used to be the kind of person that was in and out of the shower in the morning in 5-10 minutes. Suddenly that increased to about half an hour, 40 minutes. And she really began to wonder what was going on. He also was taking more care with his appearance, what he looked like, and even started going to a gym, getting more fit, focusing on what he was eating. Now, this could be just a really healthy thing in some relationships. It doesn't mean there's a problem, but that is a significant shift in this person's behavior. And unfortunately, it turned out that he was trying to impress somebody at work. So again, shifts in relationship, in behavior, could signal that there could be a problem in your relationship. So just be aware, have a think, notice things, and don't ignore them. Okay, don't ignore them. Communicate with your partner.
Now, are there other signs that a partner is losing interest? I mean, that would be a red flag for me all day. If a 5 to 10 minute shower turned into a 30 to 45, and a fitness regimen and new food, I'd be like, whoa, what's up? But are there other things to keep an eye out for?
Absolutely. So a loss of interest. So if your partner used to want to be with you all the time, was the kind of person to hold your hand in public displays of affection, and suddenly pulls back, maybe they're going out more on their own, or they're making excuses, or they don't want to have that physical connection in public with you. Again, these can be signs. Also, really obvious signs, but like having a password on their phone suddenly, taking their phone everywhere with them, maybe constantly being on their phone, checking messages, a little chuckle or a smile at certain times, reading their messages. You know, it's those sort of things where they want more privacy and they don't want you around so much. Again, it's important to spot those signs. And also a loss of intimacy. If your partner's pulling back, doesn't want to be intimate with you anymore, it can be quite common to have dry spells and just not to have that intimacy from time to time. So it's not for, some couples can live with that. But that's where the communication is, and you've discussed it and agreed, actually, we're happy like this, or this is enough for us. But if it isn't okay, then again, it could cause a problem. One partner might have a wandering eye. It may not be fulfilling, or you might not feel fulfilled from that. So again, it's looking at these problems before they blow up, identifying them, noticing shifts, and saying, I'm going to take some action. I'm not just going to let this carry on.
Any signs to look for that a relationship is just downright toxic?
Yeah, unfortunately, this is something we see so much of, especially post-pandemic, post-COVID. I think there was a huge rise in breakups. And actually, I was interviewing Sarah Al-Madani, who's one of the stars of Housewives of Dubai, the other day on my podcast, Heartbreak to Happiness. And she was talking about how she's twice divorced from a toxic relationship. I myself have been through that as well. So yes, signs to spot that you're in a toxic relationship. controlling behavior, watching what you're doing, controlling, not being able to have your own voice, lies, backhanded compliments. That can be small things that seem like a compliment but aren't. So one of my clients at the moment, actually, she said to me the other day that one of the things her ex used to say was, "Oh, that dress. Well done you for wearing it, even though your arms are, a little bit chubby, but good for you, you're still wearing it." She said every time he used to say things like that, I'd go back in and I'd change. But he would say, "Well, that was a compliment that you were confident." But it isn't. It's a backhanded compliment that stings. And she was so heartbroken, and her confidence had been chipped away. She also wasn't allowed to spend money as she wanted to. Very common, controlling your friendship groups, trying to isolate you so that you feel alone. You don't have other people to talk to. What that does is you become more dependent on them. Once you're more dependent on them, they have more control over you. And the more control, that's exactly how this toxic behavior can breed. So again, lies, manipulation, gaslighting, all those things, unfortunately common, but again, that's a tough one to deal with.
Some great red flags to keep an eye out for. Sara, it's always such a pleasure to see you. Thanks for joining us again.
Oh, thanks for having me.